Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell Podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. We're pleased to be joined by the one, the only Brandon Varney. How's it going, man?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. So, of course, as you may know, Brandon is from a local kid from Richmond, Michigan. Of course, as you may know, I do live in Michigan, just so you know. Okay. For people that don't know or are new to this channel. Okay, so what have you been up to so far? Last time we talked to you, you made your ARCA. You ran at Michigan in at what is essentially your home track, and then I know you've been doing a lot of other racing as well. Talk about what you've been up to in regards to your 2021 season.
Since we last talked, yes, I had made my ARCA debut at Winchester, and then went on to go to MIS and had two solid top 10 finishes and only two starts, which was great for what we were doing. And then we went back to our late model stuff and went back to Winchester in our late model, both me and my brother, to run a sportsman race. And weekend started great. We were on top of the time charts, 1-2. For two practice sessions back to back, which was really cool. Unfortunately, I went to go out and qualify, and I had a right front tire go down, and that ended our night, and unfortunately ended our year. Had it not been for that, we were going to try and make a run in the Winchester 400 again this past year. Unfortunately, the damages sustained to the car were a little too severe. So we didn't get to do that, unfortunately, but that pretty much rounded out our 2021 season. And then 2022, we've got some new opportunities on the table to start here, and we're going to try and continue to do more of our late model program and develop that as best we can.
So kind of talk about, I know you're going to be going down to the ARCA test at Daytona. Talk about that opportunity that you have.
That came up, I believe it was a little bit after Winchester. We had asked about it with Andy Hillenberg, who most people know in the ARCA scene, brings a lot of drivers down to Daytona for that test. And I'm very fortunate to be one of them now, but he had offered me that back in August. And now just this past week, I got all my paperwork filled out for it. And now we're just going to go down to Daytona and see what it's all about.
Yeah. So talk about your plans for 2022. What are you, and we'll get into other things that you're doing later, but talk about what your plans are for 2022.
2022, we really wanted to focus on our late model program and run more of the CRA Super Series and the CRA All Stars Tour. We might sprinkle in a little bit of their sportsman program as well. But we just want to develop that as much as we can, hit as many big races as we can to just further my development, my brother's development, and just the development of our cars as well. Okay,
so of course your brother Evan Varney, who's currently in high school right now. Your younger brother, of course, wants to compete in racing just like you. Not too often we see siblings, the two siblings around the same age trying to go after the same thing. I mean, you have the Quapples with Carson and Caden, then you have the D'Orlandos on the IndyCar side of things with Nick D'Orlando and Michael D'Orlando. But yeah, and then there's you, Brandon Varney and Evan Varney. So what's it like competing, against your brother at this? This is of course racing's it's a big thing in your family, and what's that like to run together at races?
It's very interesting. The sibling rivalry does transfer over onto the racetrack. It very much does. So obviously you had mentioned that we do have a long family history in motorsports. However, not many, if at all, did any brothers run together No, my grandparent, my grandpa and my I guess great uncle, they raced together once or twice maybe. But now me and Evan are going to start doing it like almost every week now. And a funny story about that is we went to Toledo Speedway to go run the Super Series race. And we went out and practice. So what's the first thing he does? Drives around me, cuts me off, and flips me off down the front stretch. It's all it's, that sibling rivalry just transfers right to the racetrack. So it's been a blast.
I can't wait until we get you two on together. That is something that's going to happen when we get you and your brother on together on one of these, because it is going to happen. And yeah, that's going to be fun. Yeah, it will be. Because you don't see that often. It's like you two competing again. Because usually in like team sports, we've seen it all across there. Siblings are on the same team and all that fun stuff. But rarely you two are competing against each other, and that brings a new dynamic of things happening. So, in regards to ARCA, do you see yourself running any races?
I would like to. It's all going to be dependent on sponsorship this year. We have been looking at some new opportunities and some new venues to go seek out. But it's all going to depend on what we can find and what we can budget for ourselves. So I would like to run MIS again this year. I think that would be really cool, just to go back, and now that I've got the experience to go and try and compete a little more. Unfortunately, Winchester is off the schedule, and I love that racetrack. I was really looking forward to that, but
you can still run a super late model or something.
That's true. I could do that, but Toledo would be a cool race to go to. So some of the short tracks I'd like to go and do now too.
You think about Berlin maybe?
Berlin was cool. It was interesting because I had went there this past year and watched that race, the one that Daniel Dye won, and that was a cool race to see those cars at. Berlin's a very unconventional racetrack, and to see a big, heavy, tall stock car there is totally different than what you would see with an outlaw late model or a standard late model. It just created a whole new race.
Yeah. So obviously I know you're going to be running a lot of super late model races. You and Evan are going to do a lot of that stuff. What else do you do outside of the racetrack for people that don't know?
Outside of the racetrack, believe it or not, I actually just started working on a farm a couple months ago.
Jeez.
So yeah, I've been working on a farm. We just got done with our harvest season about a month and a half ago, which lasted almost 4 months because we've got 16,000 acres up here in Michigan that we do. So we had a lot of harvesting to do.
Yep. Yeah. Definitely going to be something interesting, for sure with with farming and all that. It's always something. All right. Well, Brandon Varney, thank you so much for coming on and spending some time with us. And we'll look forward to seeing you on the racetrack. And in a couple of weeks, we'll have you and your brother on together. So that'll be interesting.
Well, thank you for having me on. And I do look forward to being back on here and hopefully see what Evan has to say.